Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for another Sister Wives Season 12 review. Let me start off by saying that I am so tired of the way that I go back and forth about how I personally feel about Meri. This episode, of course, is about more than just that, but I have to get this off of my chest now because one minute I find myself relating to her, the next I feel badly for her, the next I'm pissed at her, then I feel badly for her again. For this episode, however, I'm deciding that I am irritated by her because a lot of times some of her requests come off as selfish and inconsiderate. You want a house for your mom, then buy the house for your mom. You know these people at this point do not like the idea of you at times, and they do not trust you. And here you are going back and forth on what it is that you want in regards to the B&B. You don't present something to them one way one minute and then change it for the next, not knowing exactly what you want. She shouldn't have come to the table and said anything to them until she knew at least what she wanted and what she's going to do, especially because this family already apparently cannot stand her. This is a mess. But let's begin. As we all know, Meri is desperate to buy this house that is in Utah that used to belong to her great grandparents. The house is currently being run as a bread and breakfast. So Meri told the wives and Cody that she would like to purchase it and run it as additional income for, well, I don't know if she made it clear if it was for her or for the family. But that's what she said at first. So the sister wives at that point did feel like this could be a good idea. It was more so Cody that wasn't for it. Meri ends up calling the adults over because she wants to have a meeting to give them some type of update in regards to the property. So they all sit down and she tells them that she has a new idea. You think that this idea would be better, but to me, it actually sounds worse in terms of the family dynamic of it. She says she still wants to get the house, but now instead of running it as a bread and breakfast, she wants to buy it and allow her mother to live in it, which makes no sense whatsoever because the thing that she told us was that the lady wanted to sell it to Meri as a bread and breakfast along with everything that was inside. So she doesn't want to sell the house to be a house. She wants to sell the house to be a bread and breakfast. So number one, how are you going to get around that? Number two, how would Meri ever think that they would agree to providing her funding for that, for her mother to live there when they're struggling already as a family in other areas? But we'll get to that later. They are excited about it at first, and then they quickly were like, but wait a second, you're going to buy it and your mom isn't going to want to run it. And she says, no, she's not. That makes no sense. If her mother isn't going to run it, then her mother shouldn't live there. Janelle is just trying to understand what the hey-ho Meri is thinking. She says, so you would just want to buy it and not try to produce income off of it? It would seem to me that you would probably need some kind of income coming off of it in order to justify this expense. And I agree. Christine is also confused and she's very annoyed. But unlike the rest of them, Christine doesn't hold her tongue. She lets her know that this idea is kind of dumb. Cody asks Meri how her business is working out. And Meri says that, she thinks she's making enough money to pay the mortgage for this house in Utah, but she's not sure just of yet. Now, at this point, she should have already mapped this out. She should have already had some form of paperwork, something along those lines, because you know that they're going to want to know facts and figures. But Cody, being the condescending bald eagle that he is, no, let me not call the bald eagle condescending, because the bald eagle isn't condescending. He is confident. We'll call him Ramen Noodle. Ramen Noodle, being the condescending person that he is in a condescending tone, says you can't say whether or not you'll be able to handle the mortgage or not. That is actually the bank's decision, Meri. When he said that, I said, who? Who is he talking to? You asked Meri how her business was going, and she told you. So if she's telling you that, that means based on what the mortgage may be, I looked on Zillow or whatever app, and at this percentage of interest, my mortgage may be X amount of dollars. And based on what I'm seeing there and what I'm projecting in sales, I think that I could do it. He didn't have to say that. Does the bank have the final say so? Yes, but there was no need to comment on the bank portion of that if you asked her how business was doing. In the confessional, the bald eagle lets us know that he is holding back and that the family is holding back too. He says, well, I'm not telling Meri right now. What I'm not telling Meri right now is that we're not supporting her mother when we've still got children to support. I don't want to set her off, though. I want to know how he's supposed to set her off. Kody loves using certain words to describe Meri like she was some kind of tyrant when I feel like Kody is the monster. So what is she going to do that is so bad other than maybe cry, maybe emote, maybe be a little upset? How is Meri going to be set off? Kody tells Meri he has another idea. He suggests that she take her business to buy the empty lot across the street from the bread and breakfast, and that she build a house there as well as a B&B for her mom to live there and advertise it like that. And I'm just like, nothing about that makes sense. All the wives think that it's a terrible idea. Christine says, yeah, let's just take this problem and make it even worse by doing what Kody is suggesting. But the bald eagle is dumb. Meri let him know that it's not about her living across the street, that she wants to be in the house, and her living across from it would be torture. It would be. And seriously, him suggesting it made no sense. The wives aren't into it. Janelle says, maybe you run it as the bed and breakfast, and then what you do is you move your mother in later. Christine says, or you can tell her, I love you with all my heart, but if you aren't going to run the business, then I think you should stay in Lehigh. It sounds harsh, but I'm with Christine. Meri even admitted for her that it's not about her having a bread and breakfast. She just wants that house, and she's doing the bed and breakfast because that's what she has to do in order to get it. So with it being about the sentiment, then tell your mom, look, it's not going to work if you can't do it as this way, especially if I'm expecting for them to contribute. Janelle doesn't understand why they're even having this conversation. Robin says, if your main goal is to get in the house no matter the cost, then you need to be willing to put more into your business and make it happen. Robin wants us to know that she is there to support Meri, and she wants to support Meri because Meri supported her with the Sister Wives Closet. But Meri needs to look into the communal needs versus the individual needs. And I feel like it's so interesting that the bird is saying this, because this is not what she did with her Sister Wives idea. They're interconnected and dependent on each other financially, according to the bird. More like the bird is heavily dependent on them because unlike them, she came into this situation with an empty checking account, 3 kids, an ex-husband, and a significant amount of debt. But you're trying to tell her what she should do. Meri let us know that Robin has a better way with words than some of the other ladies, and that she thinks through her words very well. She's saying it like it's a good thing, but to me, it's dangerous that she does this. Even at this point, Meri does not see that the bird is calculating. And people who are calculating when it comes to things like emoting are, to me, always holding something back, or they're maneuvering you like you're one of the pawns on their board. I'll take Christine just blurting out her feelings rather than Robin, who is blowing smoke up Meri's rear ear. I get up her rear end any day of the week. Meri lets us know that she appreciates the fact that Robin is helping her and is rooting for her, but she sometimes wonders how honest Robin is being. And I'll tell you, she's not being honest at all. I think Robin has been honest in terms of this family for 30% of the time that she's with them. What do y'all think? Because I think Robin says one thing but does another. The meeting was kind of pointless, and Janelle says it was too, because she doesn't understand what support she wants from them. And I understand what support she wanted. She wanted financial support. The same way that the family financially supported Robin's throwaway business, she wanted you all to support hers, which the Sister Wives Closet could have been great, but for whatever reason, it fell flat. Bad jewelry, but what am I saying? At this point, her wanting it for her mom, they feel like they don't need to be involved, and they don't. But it worked out better that they weren't anyways, because now Meri is able to have that and not have to deal with the Browns. Kody obviously doesn't want to do it. Meri wants him to come with her to see the property. He looks like he'd rather watch paint dry than to go look at this house with Meri. I wonder if he even rode with her. He agrees to go with her, gives her an awkward hug. In confessional, they both talk about how terrible their relationship is right now. He even lets us know that they aren't really involved with one another and they aren't working on their relationship, which reminds us that this has been a problem before that she even agreed to go to Flagstaff. So the fact that the family was hounding her so much about making sure that she wasn't going to stay in Vegas or move to Flagstaff is beyond me, when at that point she wasn't in a marriage. He says, we're like a divorced couple living on the same block with each other. That they are bound by many things, but a loving relationship isn't one of them. And then he later says he didn't realize that her getting this property meant so much to her. He tells her, I'll go with you, but I don't understand how he didn't know how much it meant to her when right away we heard from all the wives how much it meant to her. Even the birds saw this, that Meri is emotionally connected to stuff, especially when it comes to family trinkets. If she has some of her grandmother's furnishings, why wouldn't you think that she would want to be connected to a house where her mother grew up in? It just doesn't make sense, Kody. Kody really isn't capable of thinking about others. He says he wants to go see Nancy before they go see the house. How bad are things that you have to go visit a counselor before you can make a trip? At first, I felt like he just wanted to be in a safe space for when they viewed the house. But then I was like, no, he wants to see Nancy because he's never spent this much time alone with her in years. And he was probably panicking about the idea of them being in a vehicle for 3.5 hours one way and 3.5 hours back, knowing that he doesn't like her. Next, we have Ysabel. And this scene with Ysabel broke my heart. I was crying right along with that baby while she was telling her story. You see her with tears streaming down her face. And watching her sitting on that couch with the tears coming down her face, not the fake ones that we see from sobbing, but the actual tears that this child is having. I cannot understand or fathom how Kody didn't know that she was in pain for all these years. And I'm saying that now because I'm thinking back to more recent seasons where Christine is basically during the pandemic telling Kody that whether you go or not, I have to have this surgery done for her. I got to get it done. It infuriated me a little bit listening to her talk because I hadn't seen this scene before. So Ysabel comes to her mother and asks her for help putting on her brace. We learned that a year ago while doing physicals at school that they saw that Ysabel had scoliosis. I don't know if they still do it, but I remember doing those physicals at school because they checked to see if you had lice in your hair. You had to stand against the wall, bend down, bend over, touch your toes while they looked at your spine. They probably don't do it anymore because it involves them lifting up your shirt, if I remember. Anyways, they found that she had scoliosis. Christine lets us know that it affects 3 million people a year and it's more common in young ladies. She's expected to wear a nighttime brace while she sleeps, but during her last appointment 2 months ago, they got the devastating news that not only does she have to wear a night one, but she has to wear a daytime one because her curvature has gotten worse. She tells us that the daytime one is bulky and it's big, and as a result, Ysabel is self-conscious about it because she doesn't want her friends at school to see it, and she can't do as many things. Ysabel lets us know that it's hard for her emotionally because it's horrible wearing the daytime brace. It hurts all over and she has bruises and it squeezes on her and it's awful. This young lady went through a lot of pain for a lot of years, and her dirtbag of a father didn't hesitate to help Robin come up with the funding for the surgery for Dayton, whose additional surgery was cosmetic. He didn't hesitate to help with that. Whereas this young lady was forced to wait, not just because of her age, but also because of the funding. Let's put that into context. That despite her wearing this brace, her curvature, as I said, has gotten worse. Christine said that she went from having a 26-degree curve to a 38-degree curve. That's not good in a year. So if it's not fixed, she'll have to have surgery. At that time, surgery involved putting a metal rod in to replace her spine. Ysabel says to keep herself from getting too sad or frustrated, even though she's in a lot of pain, what she tries to do is think about people who have it much worse than her. And I love her optimism, but at some points that has to be hard for her. And I feel like it's really screwy that she had to suffer like this. Okay, it's the end of that. We're back in Utah. Wedding preparations are underway. This is Mykelti's wedding day weekend. Aspen has been in Utah for several days, so Christine is meeting up with Aspen, Mykelti, Tony's mom, and sister at the nail shop. Mykelti is letting us know that unlike Tony, she's not stressed. It's something about the way that Mykelti speaks, even when she's talking there, that sometimes comes off as disingenuous to me, but I'm going to let her have it. She says she's not stressed. She says that Tony freaked out because there's a lot of things that Mykelti hasn't done, and that he is nervous that she'll snap on him during preparation because she's not finished. While getting her nails done, Mykelti tells us that she got into a fight with Tony last night. Well, really, it was Aspen told her mom, and then Mykelti added on to it. He's stressed out about the flower making thing. I thought it was a cute idea, but it's a lot to be making individual flowers. And I thought that there was going to be more assistance. So if it caused this much stress, I don't think they should have done it, especially since I don't think they were really that great. I'm just not with what I saw her bring out. Remember, Mykelti didn't want regular flowers to be at her wedding. Instead, she requested her mom, her friends, and her sisters to make flowers out of fabric. Seems like some of the money that went to things like the large piñata and the 4,000 possible tacos should have went to buying flowers. Mykelti let us know that she's a procrastinator, that when things are big and they're stressful, she just ends up getting it piled on until she bursts. Aspen reveals that Tony and Mykelti did get into a fight about the flowers, and it was kind of because of her, because she kept pushing, Tony to help. Apparently, so did Christine and Cody. Christine says at one point, Cody wanted help with something, and she told him no because she's making flowers for Mykelti. And they both bond over the fact that Tony and Cody, who are exactly alike in my opinion, haven't been helping them. Mykelti says that for 9 months she's been asking for help with these flowers, and I rewinded it to make sure that I heard 9 months, because I'm confused about the timeline. I thought that they got engaged just a little bit before Maddie's wedding. Maddie's wedding was in June and hers is in December. How is that 9 months? But y'all let me know. We find out that Christine asked for everyone, all of the moms, to help with the flowers, and that none of them helped. And Robin said that if it was her daughter, she would have talked her out of doing it. So then why not talk Mykelti out of it? It goes to show you that they aren't as united as they pretend to be a lot of times, unless it benefits them. Just my opinion. You all tell me yours. I felt like that would have been perfect timing to help. Aspen's not filling the flowers. She talks about all the different steps that it takes to do these dumb flowers. And Christine adds, look, I had even been dripping blood on the flowers. It's a gross thought. She laughs about it and says some of the flowers have blood on it. I hope that's not really true. But if you remember, in one of my reviews, I spoke about how while Mykelti is showing her mom how to do these flowers and talking about how easy it is, I noticed that she had Band-Aids wrapped around various fingers, which let me know that the girl was stabbing herself and it was going to be a messy project. You can tell that Aspen is completely over the whole thing, but she's trying to be nice. She admits to starting the fight, as I said before, because she felt like Tony should have been helping, whether he was good at it or not. And that she got so frustrated that at one point she stopped talking to Tony. And I'm going to be honest, I would have probably been so too. Or talk your wife out of the thing, since you seem to have an effect on her. If you can convince her to let you see her wedding dress, if you could convince her to wear her hair down when she wanted to wear it up, then to me, that means that you could probably talk her out of this flower idea. But for whatever reason, they went through with it. So while they're sitting there, Christine decides to pull Maria in the conversation. So her daughter is interpreting that they thought that they fought because Tony isn't helping. Her mom makes a face like she's not going to say anything. And I don't blame her. I get that they're trying to include her in on some verbal exchanges here, but they should have done so by talking about something else. Cody thinks that the flower making venture is crazy and it's labor and it's intensive and it's kind of inconsiderate. They bicker behind it. The bird lets us know that she makes Cody talk to her when they bicker and that he doesn't like it, but she makes him. And Christine says she doesn't know how Robin does it. Because we've watched these episodes enough to see that normally what Cody does is he shuts down his wives, like what he does with Meri and Christine, or he walks away from the situation like he's done multiple times with Christine and Janelle. We don't see him do that with the bird. Why is that? And Janelle confirms it by saying when her and Cody get into it, they normally just ignore each other when they're mad. Not a healthy way to fix it, in my opinion, but it worked for them until it didn't work. It's practice time. Let me start off by saying that the guitarist that met up with Christine was trying to help her by lowering the key of that song. Even though we're going to see her complain about the song, saying that it's too low and that it's not like how it sounded when she practiced it, the song did need to be lowered. It is too high for her voice. So she goes to meet up with the guitarist at her friend's house, because as we know, she's going to be singing this song for Maddie's wedding. The other wives have been lying to her, and they're continuing to lie in confessionals, talking about how great of a singer she is. Meri says she doesn't know why Christine is so concerned about this, because she's a great singer and she's sung before in a choir. Her being in a choir does not mean that she can sing as a soloist. There are reasons why certain people are soloists. There are people who are meant to be in the lead. There are people who are meant to be in the background vocalists. And not all background vocalists are created equal. So there are some who need multiple people around them, and there are some who can hold it on their own. To me, Christine is a choir singer alone. I don't think she's meant to do any solo thing. And I feel like it works for them in their church maybe, but in the greater scheme of things or the grand scheme of things, it doesn't work. She lets us know that Mykelti doesn't care if she does the song well or if she messes up. It just shows her that she loves Mykelti. And to me, Mykelti didn't care because Mykelti set out to embarrass Christine. We can agree to disagree, but in my opinion, this was done to embarrass her mother because this is the way that Tony and Mykelti are. Christine is worried about the crowd and about Cody and about Tony's reaction to her singing because she says that Tony and Cody are harsh critics. Well, I guess I'm one too because me no likey the song. Christine sings a few words and immediately lets them know that she wants it higher, that's too low. And I can't talk. The guitarist is looking at her like, are you sure you want to go that high? I think you need to go low, but he just follows her. And as he's playing and she's singing, he's like, is that the right key? Is that the right key? He's asking because he feels like she probably doesn't sound that great. Now, he says she sounds okay, but I don't think so. She says that it sounds good, but she doesn't know how to sing with the guitar, and she's not really that comfortable, so they need to keep practicing. I feel like she's just uncomfortable with singing. That's it. Christine says her goal is to make Mykelti cry with the song. If they do cry, in my opinion, it will be for different reasons, but, they're going to go with it. So we're back looking at these flowers because Mykelti pulls them out to show the bouquets that she's made. And I'm extremely underwhelmed. She says it's easy and it's simple, but because of the volume it's taking so long, if it was so easy and so simple, then the other moms would have been willing to help. Cody says that it is creative and it's neat in theory, but he let it be known immediately that he would not be touching or assisting with that. Christine then arrives with the piñatas, talking about how cute they are. She's talking about these piñatas like they're for a child's party when they're for a wedding. I saw in the comment section that yes, piñatas are common at birthday party celebrations, but it's not normally something you would do at the wedding. As I'm looking at the piñatas, I keep thinking about all the different things that are going on in this, and I feel like this wedding is going to look tacky, but it's their wedding. Tony arrives with some of Mykelti's friends. He tells us, when I got home, I had Rachel and Tristan with me. It was weird to me that he said when I got home and not when I got to Mykelti's, but I don't know if it was because at that time when he was doing the confessional, it would be his home because they were married, which also makes me wonder, did Tony not have his own place? Because why did he move to Mykelti's? Why didn't they move somewhere together or something like that? I don't know. These are just my thoughts. Everyone is filling up the piñatas with candy, and Tony is letting us know that his piñata is going to be full of Mexican candy because, in case you did not know, Tony is Mexican. I quote Tony when he says this. We're filling hers with generic white people candy, the Halloween stuff. This is so cringy and unnecessary, and I don't understand why Tony has to present his culture this way. And by this way, I mean every time he talks about his culture, there's some type of backhanded joke there. I'm not even Caucasian, and I'm over the Caucasian Mexican references. We get it. And you keep joking about it, but it's not funny. It's cringy. Janelle says she's weirded out by Mykelti and Tony beating piñatas that look like each other. In this enlightened age, we talk so much about domestic abuse. I'm like, I get where Janelle is coming from, but the more that they talk about this is the more enjoyment that Tony is being given because Tony likes to get under their skin. And I feel like just let these people do at this point what they want to do. Y'all already wrote the check. TLC already wrote the check too. So just you're stuck. Cody tells them he thinks it's classier if they let the kids beat the piñatas, but Tony disagrees. Tony says it's going to go, I beat hers, she beats mine, then the small kids, the big kids get to beat it. I don't Yeah. Christine presents Mykelti with the flowers she made out of her wedding dress. Mykelti tells her how wonderful she is for doing this, and for once, Mykelti is touched. We're reminded through various clips about the colada ring that they all wear and the significance of it in the family, because Christine purchased one for Tony to wear. All of the Brown wives, if in case you don't remember, for the umpteenth time, they all wear this ring, and so does Cody, if Cody doesn't decide to melt it down the way that he melted down Meri's. Christine says that the ring symbolizes her welcoming Tony into the family. He speaks about tradition, so this is a tradition of theirs, and she wanted to pass it on to him. Even though I do not like Tony, I appreciate Christine for thinking of Tony this way, and Tony was appreciative of it. He did say it was cool and thoughtful that she did it. We then see the family meet with Chris. For someone who bombed his duties as the officiant of his daughter's wedding, making a good portion of the wedding about himself, Cody was very opinionated about this wedding, and I just don't understand why. It's the next day. Cody, Christine, and Tony's parents, along with his sister, are there to meet Chris, who is the officiant. I don't understand why the parents had to be there, why they needed to meet Chris, but he just had some things that he wanted to talk to him about. So Tony's sister is there to interpret, because Christine wants to make sure that they understand everything, because in every episode we have to be reminded that there is a language barrier. Chris sounds like another Cody while he's talking, because he's telling us about how when he prepared for this, it was really challenging for him because he's never officiated a wedding before, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, we don't care. He says Tony and Mykelti emphasize that they want this wedding to be fun and unique, and he points out, he's going to do that. He also says that it's going to be cold and it's supposed to be raining. Christine tells him that no matter what the weather is, Mykelti is going to insist that the ceremony be done outside, even though it's probably going to be freezing. Mykelti is always going to be the type of person that feels like she needs to prove a point, so that didn't surprise me at all. She does not want a tent despite it being 40 degrees outside. Chris is incorporating the frisbee. They met through Chris's son, and he was told that, not Chris's son, but Tony was told that a polygamous girl was going to be there. I don't even understand why he needed to be told that she was a polygamist, but whatever. He was expecting to see one that looked different from Mykelti, so seeing her in shorts and a t-shirt, he felt like Mykelti was a rebel. So the wedding is going to be around the frisbee. Cody is immediately bothered by it. He's trying to go along with it, but he's hoping that they understand the weight of their contract and their covenant. Cody is so opinionated, but Cody didn't even understand the weight of his. It's real easy to talk about what's going wrong with them when he's not looking at what's been going wrong with himself. If they want to have a carefree wedding, allow them to have a carefree wedding, because at this point, your opinion doesn't really matter, because you haven't had four successful marriages. If you're divorced to Meri, even though it was just done, let you all say it, for our world, not yours, and you and Meri are having the problems that you're having, and Meri seeks love and attention elsewhere and gets catfished, obviously, rather than focus on what they got going on, you need to focus on what you have going on. He's telling us that they don't even have wedding ceremonies in their faith like ours, yet here he is, and he's so opinionated about what they do for the wedding. The other parents, however, are quiet and they're not bothered, and even though they're more traditional, they just are going with the flow. Christine says, it isn't that serious, Cody. They just want it to be fun and light. They then show the frisbees. We're reminded that they want to throw these at the end over their heads as they walk out. Tony's mom reads some of the things that were written in Spanish on the frisbees, and one of them translates to, "Those pants are pretty on your legs." Another one says, "So dirty." I'm laughing, but Christine, you should have really had a talk with Gwendolyn, because you know how inappropriate Gwendolyn is at times. And Gwen is the one who was writing in Spanish. So Gwen is a mess. Maybe Gwen didn't think that maybe his parents would get one of those frisbees. I don't know. But they didn't take it too seriously. They chuckled a little bit about it. Tony's parents, as I said, have nothing to add. They're all there to support them. Back in Vegas, we find out that Sarah, Mindy, Truly, Mia, who is Robin's niece, and Solomon are all a part of the wedding party. I think that maybe Sarah and Mindy both were childcare providers for Robin at various times. You all let me know, because I don't quite understand how Sarah is a part of this wedding party. I get Mindy, but I don't get Sarah. So that's why y'all let me know. The bird lets us know that she's excited that Tony and Mykelti are made for each other, and they are a fun match made from heaven couple. Saul and Ari and a couple of Robin's kids are sick. It seems like her kids always have something going on. She says they have a cold, a hard cough, and a fever, but they have this wedding to do. People like Robin get on my nerves. If someone was to come around Robin's children and that someone was very sick, it would be the end of the world. The bird would have a fit. It's what she did when it came to the pandemic. And I get it. The pandemic, that cold was much more severe than a common cold. But my point is, if you don't want people around your children when they're sick, why is it okay for her to sit here and admit that her kids not only have a cough and a cold, but they have a fever, and she's prepared to have them travel and be around 400 people? That's inconsiderate. Robin is stressed, and she hopes that they can get through the day. She's stressed about the wedding, and she's worried about the pictures outside, and she's worried about the temperature, and she's worried about all these things, but she's not going to go. So you're so worried about the wedding and it being great, but you couldn't help Christine make flowers. Okay. Back to Mykelti's apartment. Tony and his future wife are cutting out paper hearts to use instead of the rice. They don't know the whole Frisbee idea. So Christine tells them, don't worry about it. She'll find something to put it in and all that other stuff. Aspen asks Mykelti and Tony how they're doing and if they're connecting. Aspen is talking about communicating, where Christine takes it to another level. Christine says when she says connecting, she means verbally. Tomorrow night you can connect physically. Cody arrives. They're asked if they're feeling the buzz, that euphoria. Something that Cody lets us know he didn't feel a lot with his wives. Cody decides to take this opportunity to talk to Mykelti and Tony about their sexuality. This guy, who has told Mykelti years ago about exchanging hormones via the mouth, is going to talk about sexuality. So I was like, oh my goodness, but he didn't go too badly with it. He tells them that none of the wedding stuff matters, that in the end, it won't matter if they have enough handmade flowers or if her dress is perfect. Don't sweat the rain. Don't sweat the small stuffs, because in the end, it's about the two of them spending this time to connect with each other. The bird then lets us know that during her wedding, she didn't do that. That polygamists are different because they want to make sure that it's about the family. She then adds that she told the photographer not to take a picture of just the two of them alone. And the bird is a liar. This goes back to, I think you pronounce your name Valdia. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, please forgive me, but you coined the term liebrows. And this is when liebrows comes out to me, because you're sitting here trying to get extra credit because you told the photographer that you didn't want to take any pictures with just the two of you and you just wanted the big family pictures. But there were tons of pictures of just the two of you because we've seen them flash back in various scenes over the years. So they took pictures of just the two of you. She always has this way of making herself look like she's just the best wife when everything that she does is calculating. But done with liebrows, back to the rehearsal. Mykelti isn't upset about the rain because she says looking at the venue now, it's brought out the beautiful landscape, the reds and the rocks and things of that nature. They line up, and this is when we realize that there is no wedding coordinator. I don't understand why they did this again, because they did the same thing when it came to Maddie's wedding, but you see Mykelti standing there calling names of who's supposed to stand where, and Christine says, we can't even hear her because of the wind. Tony was supposed to tell his groomsmen to be there, but he forgot to tell some of them, and The bridesmaids aren't all there, so they're missing bodies. Missing the rehearsal wouldn't work for me, especially given the circumstances, but it's not my wedding. The event coordinator for the facility steps in and is now helping, even though the way it sounds, this was not originally supposed to be her role. They have no music, they have no organization, it's a mess, but she gets them in order. She tells them how to walk in, she tells them to slow down, they're walking too fast, things of that nature. They're practicing in an area where all of the chairs have not been set up, so they don't even know what it's going to look like. Christine says that you could tell that they're both excited to get married, that Mykelti isn't even noticing at this point how cold it is. Mykelti says she's glad they waited because now both of her brothers, Hunter and Garrison, can be there. She feels like they needed to be there. It's the end of them rehearsing. Chris is talking to Cody and Christine, and he's like, you said I need to be here at this time, but I'm thinking that I need to be here earlier because there's a lot of loose ends. There's no decor. I don't even see the arch. And they tell him they got it handled. Don't worry about it. Later that night, which I would have worried about it because we see how the Browns work. But later that night, they bowl for rehearsal dinner. My favorite Hunter is there along with Garrison and some of the other siblings. Maddie finds out her gender soon, but we find out that she's going to wait to tell the family just so they can have some time to, marinate it in themselves. The bird lets us know that she texts her family saying that she's going to be a grandma. We know that no longer matters, though, because the only kids that she seems to interact with when she feels like it are Mykelti's. The rehearsal dinner overall went well, and the couple is excited, and that is the end of this episode, y'all. These episodes are significantly longer, so sorry about how I'm rushing through them and I'm zooming through them, but overall, I feel like it was a decent episode. I'll be honest, I can't wait to get out of the Mykelti wedding situation because I'm over it. I'm overseeing Tony on the screen. I'm overseeing her. No matter what, Tony always looks greasy to me and dirty and like he hasn't taken a bath. And I don't understand why even now, years later, he still looks that way. It's concerning to me. But that's just my thoughts. Everybody, we all like different things, and apparently that's what she likes. You all let me know your thoughts down below. As I said earlier, please like the video, and if you have not subscribed already, please do so. We are on the road to 2,000, and I'm going to get there sooner than later. Until next time.